Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we're excited to talk about this new product. It is called the Hip Pinch Eliminator. It's HPE for short. It will take all the hip pinch out of your saddle when you're saddle hunting this fall. Let's dive into this video a little bit and talk a little bit more about it and the features that we kept with this design. So here it is, guys, the HPE or Hip Pinch Eliminator. There's a lot of big things that we designed in this. We're excited to release this to you. We've been working on this for a long time. I had this in a few or a lot of guys' hands to test out for us, provide some feedback, and it's finally here. So it feels good to release this and share this with you guys. So what we have here is a tent pole concept here. It's a tent pole that feeds with a bungee to kind of help keep it together as one piece, but allows it to store up and pack away. So the total dimensions from throat to throat is 13 inches. This bar here is 12 inches and the overall length is 15 inches. We decided to use this material that we have for the bar is 7075 T9 aluminum. So it's an aerospace grade aluminum. The maximum stress that this will allow before failure is 45,000 PSI. So this is super strong, super lightweight. So you'll get a lot out of this. The end pieces here are a rubbery TPU plastic material. And the reason why we did that is to allow this thing to flex and allow it to move out of the way if you get into a falling scenario and it flexes and pops off. You can kind of see here, I'm bending this like this, but this is a very unique TPU. We tried a bunch of different materials for TPU and we found one that works the best because it's stiffer than most. It's a 95A shore hardness TPU. So we tested a few that were 85A shore hardness. We sent those out to some of our testers and we actually had a few of them reach out and said, hey, is this supposed to flex like this? And I was like, I didn't flex like that when I tested, but I'm a little bit smaller than some of those guys that I sent it to. So we hit the drawing board again and we tested and we found some different materials that we tried and used and was okay. But this material here from this supplier is money. It's very rock solid, and there's a reason why we did this. For one, safety. The other side of it is it gives you the flexibility as you're rotating around the saddle. It kind of flexes like this and allows it to kind of form to the shape that you're putting it in. So we'll walk through that in a second when we jump on the tree, but I wanted to kind of show that up close and personal. I don't think I mentioned the heat shrink here. So this is one, it looks nice. It's branding in a sense, but the other side of it is it's quiet. So I think I have another one in here so you can kind of listen what happens when I hit metal on metal. This is heat shrink on heat shrink. Move it next to the microphone so you can actually hear it. So it quiets it down a ton, but also gives it that matte finish instead of that kind of shiny, glossy finish that you'd see on this. So when this gets put away, just like that, that's what it looks like. So I do have this one over here. This is what it looks like when we get it. It's still not super shiny, but having this on there helps take away that sheen, so nothing's going to see it in the woods when you hunt this fall. Let's dive into what it looks like when you're set up in the saddle and kind of talk through, because I have different sizes here. So you can see I have a long one and some short ones that are the ones we're going with in production. I want to talk through why we chose the size we did and why we didn't make it adjustable. So let's dive into that and talk through that on the tree. Okay guys, I'm up here in the saddle right now. This is kind of what it looks like if I'm not using the HP, so we can bring it on over. But if you have saddle hunted at all, this is kind of what it would look like. This is a shorter bridge here. If I wanted to, let's see if I can get this a little bit better for you. I could lengthen that out, and then you can really see here that, see if we can center it back up a little bit. So this is the angle that this comes across my hips. So I can definitely feel this on my hips. I'm using the TX5 Lone Star, which is really nice for hip pinch already. When I introduced the HP, look how much extra length I get from when I set this up there. So how you install it is you're just going to push it on one side. And how I like to do it is I grab my carabiner. So I'll swing you out a little bit. I grab my carabiner like this, and then I can just set into it just like that. And then you'll ask, why is there a bungee right here? This bungee is to help retain it onto your bridge. So if I ever wanted to, say, take it off for a second, I can just pop the one side off and swing it down. And this will always keep it attached to my bridge, and it's never going to fall to the ground. So you never had that scenario where you drop it or anything like that. And to put it back on, I grab my carabiner just like this. I just pull myself up, and then I just push it back on. Remember, these are two flexible TPU materials, so this is going to kind of snap onto your bridge when you want to install it. But then this is what it looks like when it's fully installed on there. See if we can center that back up a little bit better. So it goes from the standard condition. I don't want my hand to block it, so let's just push it out just like this. From there, see how much distance I'm getting here to there. And you can actually, you don't have to grab your carabiner. You can just kind of pull your bridge apart. There's not much force when you're sitting into this or leaning into this on this part. So this is kind of what it looks like. For me, I can now pivot just like this, and you can kind of see that thing's going to want to give, and then it pops off. If you extend too far, it's going to pop off. Now, if I just do an extension just like that, and I draw back, it's just going to stay on there. Same with this side. I'm going to extend like I normally would. Now I'm going to fully extend this way. You could hear it just pop off, just like that. And now it's off. It's not attached. To attach it again, I just kind of pull my bridge or grab on my carabiner and put it in there. So that's kind of what it looks like. As you kind of tell, there's no pressure on my hips. It's all coming up like this outside of my hips. Whereas before, this thing wants to kind of put pressure by just squeezing my hips. So what this is eliminating is that hip pinch squeeze is what I like to call it. So we only have one size. I'm going to pull this back out for you guys. We decided to only go with one size, and the reason for that is because we did a lot of testing with guys of different shapes and sizes. Now, we're not perfect, but what we found when we tested this out from guys, we had these two different sizes. So you can kind of see there's a long one and a short one. And then this production one that we went with is even shorter. So you may be asking, why did I go with the shorter one, or why did we go with the shorter one? Technically, it's Hope and I. Why did we do this one? Well, what we found is for guys, everybody has a different waist size, but that's most dependent on how big your gut is or how much like weight you have around the circumference of your waist, not really from left or right. And we found that most guys struggle with hip pinch are guys who don't have a lot of weight on their hips, where they don't have a lot of meat or fat to kind of take the pressure off from the saddle. So we tested this size and these two sizes on various different size men. Two guys that I actually had come over to my house that are my cousins, Corey and Brandon Cantola. They're much bigger than me, not fat. I didn't say that, Corey and Brandon. If you're watching this, sorry about that. But they're much bigger than me, and I just wanted to see which one they preferred. And they both said this, and I think hopefully they can comment down below if they're watching this what their correct sizes are. And I want to do a video with them so you guys can kind of see. But I think it's like 6'2" to 6'4", I think are the two sizes. And I think it's like 250, 260 at the most, down to like 230 probably. So yeah, they tried all three of these. And so like you can kind of see here, you already saw, let's swing you back over, moving you all over the place. So you can kind of see here, this is what it looks like when I have the HPE that we're selling right now installed. And then these are the other two. So this is the medium size one. So you can see the orange one, how much further it sticks out. It's just 14 inches is basically what it equates to. So it's an extra inch in there. So I'm going to install this real quick. Mosquitoes are back out, guys. If you're from Michigan, get your spray out. So then you can kind of see right now how much further this is going to have to travel. Tuck this in there so I can pull my bridge out and snap it in. Definitely relieves some hip pinch, but I think it's overkill for what it really needs to be. And so then this other one, this is the 15-inch one. This is even longer. So you can snap this one in one side. I like to just pop these in just like this, and then I can easily pop the other one out. And then you can kind of see there's even more hip pinch relief. But for at this point, it's pulling out away from my hips. So it really isn't gaining much. I'd rather have it more streamlined. And you'll see when I do another part of this video, I'm going to actually draw back and show you, because there's been a few guys asking a little bit about does it get in the way of your bow? And our response is not when we tested this did we see that as an issue. But we'll talk about that in just a second. But anyway, so that's kind of why we went with the different sizes of testing, but we ultimately ended up with the shortest one which is 13 inches from throat to throat on the end pieces, because we just think it provides the maximum amount of comfort for you for the length of it. Again, you could just pop this on just like this, boom, and then retain it, and then you're good to go. So moving around the tree is the same. The thing where this thing shines, and you can kind of see this when I sit down, is I really like this from a sitting perspective, because when I sit down, I used to really collapse on me, and now I'm able to basically put all that weight into the spreader bar here, the HPE, and really just sit down with zero hip pinch. Where I feel the pressure is on the bottom of my butt now, not on my hips. So that is an awesome thing about this system, is just for sitting. If you're a sitter, this is it. So let's back this camera up a little bit, give me some room here, and I'll draw back my bow and shoot a little bit so you can kind of see the movement in that, and we'll just walk through that for you guys. So, okay guys, we're in the saddle with the camera pushed back a little bit so you can kind of see. This is my hunting setup. I have my sub one over here, which I just was filming for you guys. I have my bow here. I'm gonna take a few shots and kind of show you why there's no issue with string contact on here or getting in the way of the bow for when you're trying to get that shot. But I also want to do some crazy angle shots that you kind of see in like magazines and stuff, or online, where people are leaning back like this and taking that shot, or even over the shoulder, and what the HP looks like and how it's not going to hurt you when you're trying to use it while hunting. So one other thing I wanted to mention that I didn't mention in the previous little video that I did here above me is guys who have vinyl harnesses. This is really, really nice for them. And I didn't realize this until a guy mentioned in a post that I made or shared it into a group, the bow hunting league group, is when people sit in the saddle and if they have a vinyl harness on, traditionally this wants to pinch your harness, so when you sit back up, it kind of grabs it sometimes. So that's one thing I actually noticed when I used my vinyl harness. This is the JX3 Outdoors one, but I also noticed that. So that's a nice benefit for guys that are going to use this and run a vinyl harness. But anyway, so this is kind of what it would look like. Again, you can stand up and it stays there. I can detach this and it hangs. It's not going to fall to the ground. So if I just want to change things up and not use the HP, which you're more than able to do, it's just going to hang there and not get in the way of anything, not even of your bow or anything like that. But say I want the extra comfort, it's just as easy as that. So anyways, this is my bow here. So if I had a deer, say it was over here, and I was going to draw back just like that. Sorry if that was really loud for the mic. You can kind of see there's no string hitting anywhere on this bridge. As I go this way, obviously it gets better. As I go this way, it's going to get worse, but it doesn't ever get in the way of it. So I'll just shoot this real quick. One thing that you can do that I have found that I really like doing is if I see a deer coming in, I'm not sure if I'm going to shoot it or not, but I don't want the thought of the HP even in my mind, you can easily just pop it off, and then you're back to the scenario where your normal saddle hunting is, where you're not going to run into that issue. So let's move the target a little bit. Let's get some of those extreme angle shots. But that was probably the worst case scenario, as I walk around the tree and I want to shoot like here. So you could see that a little bit. But let's get into those crazy angles that you kind of see when people market saddle hunting. So let's do that real quick. Okay, I moved the camera just slightly and I moved the target right over here. So if I'm sitting in the saddle like this, that's kind of like my 4 o'clock right there. So that's kind of that awkward spot where you're like, do I go this way? Do I stand up like this and move around? It's a little tricky where you can just kind of shoot like that. My HPE's been attached the whole time, by the way. So that's kind of nice to show, like, hey, this thing doesn't get in the way even when you're trying to stand up and just move around and pivot around the tree. But how I would take the shot is I would drop back down like this, and then I would shoot like this, or I would just pivot just like that and shoot. So let's do that real quick, and so you can kind of watch the HP work. It was already kind of pivoting around, but let's just show you a little bit more about how it works. So I'm going to draw back just like this. Anchor. Boom. This is a sneak peek on a product. We have this little single arrow quiver that we're going to be releasing. So if you're watching this, you get to see that. Comment down below if you saw that. First person to comment that I will send them one of those for free. Little bonus thing I didn't even think I was going to do. So again, the other way you can do this is if you crouch, or move this so it doesn't hit me in the head again. But you can sit down like this, put your knee into the tree, draw back, just like that, anchor, boom. So that's kind of what you see when you're shooting with the HPE. Again, walk all the way around. I don't want to draw my bow without an arrow in it, but you can walk all the way around and shoot this way. This is the only spot where it's going to get a little bit hairy, I would say. So again, the way to get around that, if you don't even want to deal with the HPE, you can literally just take your thumb and push it off just like that. If you want to be a little bit more controlled when you do it, say there's a deer right next to me and I just want to take this off real quick and I didn't realize he was there, I can just push on my bridge with my offhand just like that and just kind of set this aside. So that's the HPE, guys. We hope this video was really helpful to explain why we designed the HPE the way we did and what we're excited for about it for guys that are going to take this out in the woods this fall. So again, if you can like and subscribe our channel and then put a comment down below this video, this helps us reach more people and just kind of educate them on the new products that we're releasing. Like always, stay tuned to the channel because we have so many more new products coming down the pipeline that we can't wait to share with you guys. Until next time, we'll talk later, guys.